Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now today's video is going to be partly an after action report, but also it's going to be a bit of a declaration. I suppose you could call it a declaration of war. Basically guys, it's time for me to stop messing about. It's time for me to take this 40k thing, this winning thing, more seriously. Because I have been on a losing streak somewhat. Over the last 2 weeks I've played about 5 games of 40k and I have lost 3 of them. And the 2 that I won, I barely count as wins, and because one of them was very much a friendly where my opponent was running a list he'd never used before and I was using my Steel Legion that I was very familiar with, and the other one was a 500 point little skirmish with my orcs. So it's difficult, you know, that wasn't 2 lists that were and 2 players that were really going into it in both those games. It was just a bit of a fun thing. So I've basically had 3 losses in a row. And maybe I'm being overly harsh on myself there. Maybe I am. But I've had 3 losses in a row. And I don't want that to keep happening. I don't want to lose on battle reports after battle report. No one wants to turn up to the Mordian Iron Guard, to the Imperial Guard channel to see the guard getting their face smashed in every week. So I've got to start taking things a little bit more seriously. So the games that I lost, there's a running theme between basically all of them, which is, firstly, I didn't go into them properly prepared in many cases, or in the right state of mind, and secondly, my lists were not good enough. It's as simple as that. My lists were not good enough. So the 3 games I want to talk about today are the list where the game where my Steel Legion took on my brother's Dreadnought army, and that is on his channel, Scholar Progenium. Go and check it out. If you haven't seen that video yet, this video is going to contain spoilers for it, so turn it off, go and watch the battle report, then come back here. I'm also going to be talking about when my Mordian Iron Guard took on the Dreadnought list, and I'm going to be talking about when my Hybrid Guard, this wasn't battle reported, where my Hybrid Guard army, my new and improved version of it, took on Dark Angels, and unfortunately I lost that game as well. Now, basically, in the Steel Legion list, in the Steel Legion game, I had a good sort of familiarity with my list, but I hadn't gone into that in all 3 games. I hadn't gone into them, I would say, with the right attitude, and this also is kind of reflected in a game that I did 3 weeks ago, where my Imperial Guard took on the Adeptus Mechanicus, and I lost that one as well. And in all of those games, basically, well, nearly all of those games, basically, my list had serious faults. And me as a player made serious mistakes. Okay, serious mistakes. And let's cover that second one. Let's cover that second one first, the serious mistakes. A lot of it was lazy play. Really lazy play from me. And I guess just rushing. Being Mr. Rushy Pants. That was what was happening. Now, a lot of that is, I guess, because when you're filming and stuff, you're trying to save time and whatnot. But also a lot of it is about, this is going to sound really silly guys, but it was a case of, like I said, it wasn't necessarily rushing on the battlefield, which I did do. It was also a case of being lazy, and rushing because of being lazy, but also because I'm crazy, I hadn't eaten much on any of those days. I've been rushing around with other stuff. I hadn't got myself ready for the games. I just sort of turned up, not really thinking about 40k, thrown my models down, in all cases made big mistakes for deployment, and then gone, oh, I'll fix it I'll fix it during the game. At which point my opponent, this is 9th edition, it's extremely cutthroat. Even casual games are extremely cutthroat. It's like being back in 7th edition. Truly, it is like being back in 7th edition. And that's an analysis for another video, I suppose. But or maybe later in this one. We'll see how it goes. So I'm just turning up to games and I just wasn't concentrating, and I was making basic mistakes, and I just need to basically, if I'm going to turn up to a game, I've got to have my game face on. I've got to have my head in the right place. I can't be throwing, this is another thing, moving, sort of transitioning into talking about the lists. In many of the cases, the reason I was rushing and stuff is I was rushing throughout the whole day. Either work had got in the way or other, real life bullshit had got in the way. And I'd thrown my list together. That game with the Mordian Iron Guard versus the Dreads, I throw my list together. I just take it. I know that veterans aren't as good as command squads. So I couldn't be bothered to work out the difference. Why did I take ogres? We know they're still. We all know they're still terrible. I just chucked them in because I wasn't. Oh, they'll be fun. Chuck them in. You know, this isn't 8th edition. This isn't the edition where you can chuck stuff in and it'll be all right. This is 9th edition. If you're not taking a proper unit, it's a waste of time. It will lose you the game. If I hadn't taken those Ogrins and instead of taking the equivalent points in more Bulgrins and combined that with and just fucked off. Sorry for the salt warning. And just fucked off all the fluff upgrades, I probably could have had another 6 Bulgrins in that game I had against the Dreads. And that very well could have won me the game. Very well could have won me the game. But I didn't because I just threw my list together like an idiot. You know, like an absolute idiot. And then you've got the game with the Admech versus the Imperial Guard, where I literally threw my list together 5 minutes before the game because I hadn't prepared, because I hadn't. And an extension of this, is that I'm trying to make my 8th edition lists work in 9th edition. And they just don't. Okay, as we mentioned, this isn't 8th edition. In 8th edition, my Black Tide army, my Black Templar, Pure Infantry, 100 Marine army went to multiple events and went 2, and if it was a 1-day event, went 2-1. If it was a 2-day event, went at least 3-2. Often went 4-1 with a Black Tide army. That list went to half a dozen events and never got less than a positive, for lack of a term, KD ratio. Positive win-loss ratio. Okay, that was an 8th edition. If I run that list in 9th edition, well, I have yet to run it because on the paper it looks terrible. Because, you know, why would you pay 1 point less for a neophyte when you can get 2 wound initiates? You know, there's no point. And this is 9th edition. And in 9th edition, there is no room for fluff upgrades. There's no room for fun choices. Not with a lot of armies, not with most armies, and not with the people that I play with. Okay? So this is the declaration. It's time to start gearing up. It's time to start taking this more seriously. It's time to modernize, 9th edition eyes, my current armies. So I have gone online and I have bought myself an additional manticore. No point in running just 1 manticore with full payload. 2 manticores with full payload. They are now on the way, ready to rock and roll. I proxied them previously, now they're ready to rock and roll. No, I've got 2 Demartia cannon turrets for my 5 Lehman Russes. Not good enough. 3 more Demartia cannons are on the way, guys. Simple as that. Black Templar army. Black Templar, if I'm going to run the Black Tide, I need 30 more Tactical Marine equivalents. I need 30 more Crusaders, 30 more Initiates. That's how many I need. 30 more Power Armor bodies overall. They're getting bought, they're going to be bought, they're going to be arriving. Modernizing it. I have spent the last week painting loads and loads of mechanized units for my Black Templars because I think the Black Tide, if I'm going to make the Black Tide work, I might as well power armor it. But do you know what I think will be more effective? Black Tide mech. It can take 9 Razorbacks with 5 Marines at each one. Not all of them will be Crusaders. Many of them will be things like Vanguard Veterans or Sternguard Veterans or other things. We haven't fully put it all together yet. But we are going to be taking the best possible Black Templar Firstborn list that we can possibly take. If 15 points for power armor is a thing that Black Templars get, we will lean on that. We will make that work. My Mordian Iron Guard. God damn, I love that army. And you wouldn't think after two years, you wouldn't think I'd still have to paint more models for it. I've got 500 infantry. Not enough. Too many fluff upgrades. Too many sergeants with power swords. Too many, flamers. Too many grenade launchers. Not enough plasma. Well, too much plasma, as we've seen. 9th edition is all about toughness 5 units, and it's all about reducing damage, and everyone's getting shitloads more wounds. Plasma can't keep up anymore. Now is the time for Melter. You need some plasma, but now is the time for Melter. Thank God, I have a shitload of Melters that I can paint up for the army. In fact, you know what? I've got most of them in the Dettol bath right now. They're ready. 2 jars of... I've got 40 infantry, proper infantry, ready. A full platoon of guys in the Deathle Bath right now, gearing up. This is 9th edition. This is like being back in 7th edition. And what was the number one lesson I always used to tell people in 7th edition? When people used to send me their lists in, I used to do list reviews. I had to stop doing that because I just got so many and I kept basically saying the same thing over and over again with each list review. Because basically, there's one lesson that you need to remember when you're building a list now. And this is the state of the game, lads. This is the state of the game, boys. No time for fun. No fluff upgrades. Pure efficiency. No ogrin, just bulgrin. No missile launchers, just las cannons. No flamers or grenade launchers, just plasma and melter. Every officer, las pistol and chainsword. That's it. That's the way we've got to do it. You know, our Lord Commissars... Do Lord Commissars bring enough to my army? Probably not. Should I be using Psychers instead to help me, you know, play the Smite game, play the Psychic Barrier game, play the Night Shroud game? Probably. No, if we're playing narrative fluffy games, sure my Mordians won't run Psychers, but if we're playing proper games, and it's looking like every game of 9th edition is a proper game, because it's the competitive edition. It is the hardcore edition. It is the matched play edition. Then we got to play match play. We got to play competitively. No more power source. No more fluff upgrades. It's time to get serious. And the way I need to do that is I need to put my money where my mouth is. I got to throw down the money because you know what? You know what? Because I've got this YouTube channel. I've got this mad 10k sub YouTube channel that I never thought I'd get there. No one is, you know, and I talk the talk. And no one wants to be the guy that talks the talk but doesn't put his money where his mouth is and can't walk the walk because, you know, can't be bothered to, you know, paint up some multi-melt sponsors and buy some demolition cannon turrets. No, sir. No one wants to, you know, how can someone talk, and I'm talking about myself here, how can I talk about this is what you need to take and then not turn up to battles with that myself? I'm not practicing what I'm preaching. So it's time to do it more seriously. And that's what I'm going to be doing. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Let's make the best guard list. I am trying so many different things. I'm flinging so much shit at the wall and I'm gathering data and I'm using Math Hammer and Theory Hammer and I think I'm coming up with a pretty good list, and the key to it is it needs to be able to score, and I think I've got that. But if you've got any ideas on what is the, you know, my number one resource, I'm just one man at the end of the day, and my number one resource is the followers and supporters of this channel. And I cannot tell you the number of times where I've been given absolutely fantastic advice from people on this channel that I've been able to incorporate it, test it, it's turned out to be true, and been able to do videos on it, thanks to you amazing people. And thank you to the Patreon supporters for allowing me, by their generous support, to be able to modernise my armies and to be able to turn up to a battle. So next time you turn up to a battle port, it's not, oh fucking hell, why has he turned up with bloody plasma cannon turrets and battle cannon turrets? Everyone knows that the demolition cannon turrets are simply the best, and you combine it with gunnery, expert gunners and spotter details. Why isn't he turning up with 5 of those? Everyone knows that's the way you do it. Well, you know what? Next time you see me, there will be 5 of them there. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. So, that's it, guys. Advice, welcome. Feedback, very welcome. Let's build the best possible guard list that we can. Let's playtest it together. And then let's go to those events. And, you know, if someone could go to an event with Tau and go 5-1 like they did this week, then someone with guard could do the same bloody thing. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.